You.
Hi Alistair, would you like to introduce yourself and your services and
Thank you. Good morning, Emma, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for asking me along. So I'm Alistair Black, so I am Behaviour Attendance Advisor for Trafford Council, and also I'm the Operation Lead as well for the education of vulnerable children. So we work across a range of areas in education, and we focus on children of compulsory school age. It tends to be children without an education healthcare plan, and as I go through, you'll probably see why that is. But our service, essentially, we look at a range of different things. So that includes identifying children who are missing from education. So those children who aren't on roll at a school. So maybe they've moved into the borough, haven't been able to get a place at a school. We'll be looking at those young people and getting them back into education. Also, as well, we look at promoting good attendance at school, which does include the issuing of penalty notices. That falls under our service and issuing them on behalf of schools. And I know there was some comments and some questions around that, so I'll come on to that in a little bit. Also as well, we also look at ensuring our young people who take part in employment or entertainment, so if they are doing some modelling or if they're doing a paper round, that they're doing that safely. As Emma mentioned earlier, we look after home education. That falls under our service, and ensuring that our young people who are home educated are receiving a suitable education that's suitable for their needs. So we also have some duties as well around the provision of education for those children that are excluded from school permanently, and also supporting those pupils that, due to a medical condition and their medical needs, are prevented from accessing education in a mainstream school. So we look at support for them as well. And a lot of the duties that we have and that our team work around, the council has an obligation to put in place, but also as well, we do have a commercial offer that's available to our schools to purchase as well. And that covers work outside of those obligations. So for example, we support a lot of our academies with advice around behaviour management. We also have an absence hotline, which our pupil absence officers staff, and that is a direct link for our schools to contact an officer to get some advice around complex cases. We also as well run some network meetings as well around behaviour. We have a pastoral support network meeting. We run some around attendance and provide specialist training to schools as well. And in terms of our families and our young people, we're also there to provide advice and guidance and to answer queries and questions and concerns in relation to the areas that I mentioned earlier. And I think one of the key themes across all of our different areas is that it's around making those informed decisions. So we don't tell schools, parents, other agencies, we don't tell them what to do. What we do is we advise them and we provide them with information to make informed decisions. So that might be about advising them about services that are available. It might be about other ways that they can support a young person, perhaps directing them some government guidance around a particular issue. So if I give you an example, so a good example would be if, say for example, a family got in touch and they wanted to electively home educate, we'd have a discussion with them, we'd explain the commitment around elective home education, we'd explain the local authority's role in monitoring the education, we'd perhaps give them some examples of what we know our other parents in Trafford are doing around elective home education, and we'd discuss the future plans with them. We'd have a conversation with them, and maybe if it transpired that there was a particular issue at school that left them feeling that they had no other option but to home educate, we'd talk them through, give them some pointers around how the issue could be tackled, how they could address the concerns with the school. So a lot of our work that we do is very much done on a case-by-case basis, because we recognise that a lot of our settings are very different in terms of the staff that they have available to them, the resources that are there for them, and also the locations, their type of pupils. And equally, we recognise as well that our families and our young people, everyone comes from different backgrounds, they have different experiences, different views, so we try and support them as best we can. And I know one of the key things as well that people are interested in was around the support that schools will be putting in for their students in September when they return. And I think working with our schools. You know, they're very emotionally literate, they provide really good pastoral support, and are really good at supporting our young people as well, and supporting them with their feelings, and supporting them really, and giving them the skills and the tools to self-regulate and to manage their emotions. And I think as well, we recognise as well that sometimes anxiety might manifest itself in different ways as well. So maybe there might be a disengagement, and also different levels of mood create a different level of behaviour as well. So perhaps more risky behaviour, perhaps finding it difficult to engage in lessons. So a lot of the schools that we work with, as I said, they come to us for advice and support. We also as well have some early indicators as well around behaviour and around attendance. So we look at patterns and trends, and we see if something's escalating, and we try and identify that early and provide support for our young people. So for example, we've done a lot of work during lockdown around identifying young people that were really struggling with their attendance prior to lockdown. That's one of the core groups that we're going to be looking at. So as I mentioned, around the advice that's available to our schools. So in terms of in September, when schools return, we're going to be running some online drop-in sessions for our staff. So there's going to be one focusing around attendance, and that's going to go through the new guidance for schools and how they can support pupils and support their parents, because we recognise that for some people it is going to be quite difficult to return to school. And we know as well that the government said that school is mandatory, and we know that obviously penalty notices, so parental responsibilities are available to our schools. And I think the message around that really is that that's around when all of the strategies have failed. So we would expect that our schools will be working with families to overcome some of those issues around anxiety and address some of those concerns, and be really proactive around tackling them before they even considered any of those measures, such as a penalty notice. We're also providing some drop-ins as well online around behaviour, so focusing on primary and secondary schools. Another part of our team have developed a mental wealth hub. So they've been working with a number of different agencies, because during lockdown, a lot of resources have been available around supporting our young people. So what we've done is we've pulled a lot of people together. So that includes CAMS, public health, education, psychology, our service, also as well commission services that the local authority commissions, such as COOF, such as 42nd Street. And what we've done is we've put together a toolkit for our schools that signposts them on how to support with some of the demands arising from COVID. So it's a guide for our education settings in supporting children and young people's mental health and well-being. And we know that so many people have so much to offer, so putting it all in one place is really helpful. And also as well, we're going to put some of that information on the Trafford Family Service Directory as well. So there'll be some pages appearing on there as well in the very near future. And the document itself, parts of it are framed from a child's perspective as well. So if you have a son or daughter and perhaps they're worried about members of their family, perhaps you know in their mind they will be expressing that as the sad because they've lost somebody, because somebody's passed away, maybe they're anxious around a family member becoming unwell. The guidance that we're providing to our schools gives the schools a response for that, and it also signposts them to the appropriate resources that are available as well in respect of that. So whether that's, say, some resources from Young Minds, perhaps Childline, some contact details for COOF or Place to Be. So that's really our service in a very quick nutshell.
Thank you, Alistair. I'm sure you're in much need of a holiday as well. You know, it's really interesting hearing about everything that your service provides, and I'm really sorry that I didn't know about some of those things before we had to make the decisions that we did. If families feel that they've gone to school, that they're not getting the support that they feel they need, would you advise them to come to you or to go to the family information, the Trafford directory?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's about making those informed decisions, isn't it? So first of all, it's about your own record keeping, isn't it? So if you've got some challenges in school and some things that are going on, so how are you keeping a really good record of that, and how you escalating that in line with the school's processes and procedures, and checking their policies that are available and checking what they recommend you should do. But certainly you can contact us and get in touch with us. So I'll give you a couple of email addresses that are quite useful, and then if people want to contact us, then an office will get in touch and we can help you, because it is really useful just to really drill down into some of the issues, isn't it? Because some things can be quite historic, and some things, once you've got that context and that greater understanding, it's a bit easier to give people very specific information. So our pupil absence team, who deal with all of our queries around absence from school, so their email address, and I'll put it in the chat as well, is pupil.absence@trafford.gov.uk. So that's pupil.absence@trafford.gov.uk. So if there's any queries around attendance and absence from school, then send them to that email address. We also have one for elective home education as well, which is ehe@trafford.gov.uk. So just the letters ehe@trafford.gov.uk, and we can pick that up and we can advise you accordingly. We have one on behaviour as well, which is behaviour@trafford.gov.uk. So they come through to us, and an officer can have a look. We'll get in touch with you. If you provide us with as much detail as possible around your child in terms of their name, their address, the school they go to. We do treat things confidentially. We're not just going to get on the phone to a school and say, we've had this conversation. It's about making informed decisions, isn't it? And giving you the information that you need to make those choices. And if appropriate as well, we'll signpost to other agencies. So Carol from Sendias probably gets a lot of phone calls from parents that we've spoken to, and vice versa. And like I said, it's just being able to talk through that situation, isn't it? And for somebody to listen, to understand it, and give you some good advice to move it forward in whatever way possible.
Definitely. Thank you, Alistair. I know in my own experience, I also wish I'd have known about Carol and Sendias because when you're a parent dealing with your child's big anxieties, you don't always have the energy or the time to read through school policies and pull out the information that you need to sort of fight your case, really. And I know I've just recently heard about Sendias and the fab work they do, so I'm going to let Carol introduce herself.